everyone, and welcome back to MEDIAK. So I grew up on the original trilogy, the new original trilogy. Just like everyone else on the planet, I think these movies are perfect. They're on a short list of movies that I think are worth an annual rewatch, and when I heard that there was going to be another theatrical Lord of the Rings movie, I was hesitantly interested. Hesitant for, well, obvious reasons. However, after hearing that it was going to be animated, I actually started to get excited. I feel like the world of animation is one of the best ways to expand on a fantasy world like Lord of the Rings. Not that it's cheaper, but it might be easier to make these fantasy elements look more visually appealing. Like, you don't need the big elephant to look real. You just need it to look like all the other drawings in the scene. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I don't want to get to the review just yet. Stay tuned for that later. But before that, I would like to talk about something. Hollywood hates animation. Whoa, somebody stop me. MEDIAK Zach saying some real controversial statements out here. What I said isn't surprising, but I feel like what I said is heightened more so in the past few years, especially with two movies, Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, and Transformers 1, and another movie that came out while I was writing the video. I feel like these three movies got absolutely railed by marketing, and I honestly didn't even know just how bad until I started doing research for the video. Well, I knew that Rohirrim didn't perform well, but I also knew that it had a $30 million budget. Sadly, it didn't even get to that with only $20 million at the box office. Now let's take a look at Transformers. Alright, it made a total of $129 million, which isn't bad, but it had a budget of $75 to $147 million, which most likely means $147 million. It didn't come close to making its money back. Usually the rule of thumb is to say that you double the budget of your movie to account for marketing. If that's true for Transformers, then this movie lost an insane amount of money for Paramount. Luckily for them, they only put $6 and a corn chip into the marketing for Transformers 1. I'm only joking, they definitely put a lot of money into the marketing. I'd be lying if I said I never saw a trailer for it. It just wasn't plastered across New York City, nor was it a part of some crazy marketing campaign like Smile. Upon rewatch of the trailers, it literally was like they showed the worst parts of the movie. I don't know about y'all, but I wasn't really excited for Transformers 1 at all. The trailers made it look like some lame joke fest that was 100% geared towards kids. I felt this way just because I only watched one trailer, and the last Chris Hemsworth movie I watched was Thor 4. So I feel like my mindset was pretty understandable. G, my girlfriend, and I still decided to go. We see a movie basically every week, and we both like Transformers. So we decided to go see it, and we thought that the worst that could happen was that we saw a Goofy Kids movie. And not to jump the gun, but we didn't really get that. We got a pretty fantastic film that followed the development of two friends into their heroic and evil destinies. I do plan on going much more in depth, so stay tuned into the review at the end. So let's bring it back to the main topic of the video real quick. Why did the trailers not showcase how amazing this movie was? If I were to throw my hat in the ring, I'd probably say that the bigwigs at Paramount don't fully understand that animation is for all ages, which is kind of fair, I guess. A lot of people still have this stigma. G's dad is a massive Lord of the Rings fan, but it would be easier to get him to see Kraven than it would be to get him to see Rohirrim.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
However, that's not necessarily a reason to bomb the marketing of the movie. When looking at Paramount's animated movie lineup, they have really only ever made kids-focused movies. So they think that the best things to show when making a trailer are the jokes and the silly moments and not the emotional or serious ones. Kids might not want to watch that stuff, but you know who does? The parents. And you know who can't buy their tickets? Movies need to be appealing to the parents too, and these trailers made the movie look borderline annoying. So my mom, brother, and girlfriend all disagree with me, but I found B insanely annoying, which is one of the reasons why I wasn't dying to go see the movie. B was the front line of their marketing whenever it came to the trailers, and I found him to be the absolute worst part of the movie. And I feel like no one's going to throw tomatoes at me if I say that the humor was the worst part of the movie in general. I mean, kind of, sort of. There's other problems. I'll talk about it more at the end. After the movie came out, I saw some trailers showcasing the action in the movie. However, it was a scene from the end. Like, what the hell, dude? One funny thing to add is that both of these movies got screwed over with their trailer releases. There were only 5 months between the release of the trailer and the release of Transformers 1, which is ridiculous. I know that sounds like a lot of time, but keep in mind that Marvel releases their trailers about a year in advance. Look at Thunderbolts. It hit several trailers by August of last year. Granted, it was supposed to come out in July 2024 and then December of 2024. Anywho, 5 months is still too little. That's barely enough time to build up hype and awareness for the movie. A lot of people didn't even know it was coming out. My mom basically always has cable TV on, and she didn't even know about it until the week I saw it. Personally, I think 9 months is a pretty good time frame, especially for a movie that doesn't have pre-existing hype. Like James Gunn's Superman could have probably shadow dropped and made a bunch of money. No one knew that there was going to be an animated Transformers movie until the trailer. They announced it with a poster well before the trailer, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because the average person won't see that. 9 months for the trailer is enough time to circulate through all the YouTube ads and cable channels and everything. Okay, let's see how Rohirrim had. Oh, well, that's a little bit worse. 4 months. It's just sad because marketing is such a huge deal. Yeah, I know it can get annoying to be marketed to, but for all the people that really love these worlds, they need some way to find the content they want. Gia also loves this universe, and she found out about the movie whenever I brought it up randomly. She was upset that she only just found out about it and insisted that we see it when it came out, which was the following Friday. She's a big fan of this series and anime in general. This was made for her, and we had a great time in the theater seeing it. An experience we probably would have missed out on if I didn't have a podcast. Transformers at least showed a trailer at the beginning of a lot of movies, regardless of the quality of the trailer. Rohirrim was shunned to the shadow realm of being shadow dropped on YouTube. And worst of all, the trailer was worse than Transformer 1's. The trailer, I have a really hard time describing this trailer. You guys just need to watch it. It feels embarrassed that the movie is being made. The trailer just shows clips of the original trilogy, and obviously it made sure to put Peter Jackson's name on it. It is a trailer that wants you to see the movie off of the merit of the franchise instead of the merit of the movie itself, and that is just really sad. And the thing is, the movie does have merits. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I actually like the movie that a lot of people seem to hate, but I'll get into that in a sec. I mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about a third movie, and honestly, there's a solid chance that you probably have never heard of it. The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. This movie only got 2 trailers and was only in theaters for a week. Talk about sent to the shadow realm. What the fuck is up with Warner Brothers and the Tunes? This was a massive property at one time, and they absolutely hate them. First, Coyote vs. Acme was canned, and now this movie was given basically no showtime at all, and the previous Looney Tunes thing was god-awful. Talking about Space Jam, by the way. However, there is some hope. People really liked this animated movie, and their publisher, Ketchup Entertainment, picked up Coyote vs. Acme. Maybe the Tunes will have a redemption arc, but more importantly, I wish animation got the recognition it deserves. I honestly thought the animation equals kids thing kind of dissolves after the lockdown. A lot of people got into anime and realized it was sick and can be very adult. I was clearly wrong because all the adults who marketed these 3 movies did it in such shit-ass ways. Kids movies in general are hard in the age of streaming, so I bet they figured they would bomb, so just hope for good streaming numbers. However, if they gave a good campaign and release window to all 3 of these movies, I guarantee all of them would have made money. Of course, that's not the point. Art is great for what it is, not how much money it makes. But if you want to see more of a specific kind of art, sadly, that needs to make money. We probably won't be seeing movies like any of these 3 for a while, and that's okay. We can still watch them and discuss them. Hopefully, these movies inspire someone to make something amazing, as fans of film, animation, and their respective franchises. Okay, that's the end of part 1. Review time. I'm going to go in descending order of hype. Looney Tunes, Rohirrim, Transformers. I'm sure if you currently find Looney Tunes funny, then you'd love this movie. And please don't take that the wrong way. What I said about the marketing stands, and I did really enjoy this movie, I just didn't love this movie. The animation was gorgeous, and it made me miss this style of 2D animation at a theater level quality. We will most likely not get an animated movie quite like this or as good as this for a while. This kind of animation is expensive and takes a while to make. It is much easier to do 3D animation because you can keep and reuse the models. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's definitely quicker, especially if you're making multiple projects. Since we're talking about animation, I absolutely love the way they did Farmer Jim. Seeing him do the cardboard cutout jump actually got a chuckle out of me. I wish they did the painting style animation for whenever he turned his head too, but I totally understand why they didn't. He also was one of my favorite parts of the movie in general. I was a fan of the very original Looney Tunes back whenever I was really young, but I'm not very in tune with the lore now. Seeing this new interpretation of Porky and Daffy being raised by this former guy was a super interesting twist and a great way to introduce us into the story. The story overall was insanely well written. And I don't mean for a Looney Tunes movie or for a kids movie. I mean, there were a ton of one-off bits that came back around in ways that you wouldn't normally expect. And the climax was awesome and a fantastic way to portray the theme of the movie. Also, the plot somehow revolving around boba isn't cringe. However, there is an influencer joke that is cringe, which sucks because that cringe scene ends off a pretty great scene where they go back to the old style Looney Tunes. My biggest complaint with the movie is that most of the jokes don't really land for me. I know I'm an adult and a critic, so obviously that means I'm lame, but it's still obviously going to impact my rating of the movie because that's my experience with it. I completely understand that the humor in this movie isn't for me, and I guarantee it's super funny to someone. Like my buddy, the co-host of the podcast, Skylar, who loves the tunes and currently finds them funny.
I watched a good bit of Scooby-Doo recently.
That is to say, I didn't find anything funny in this movie. There was one other joke that actually got a real laugh out of me. After the scene where Daffy shows up to help Porky and Petunia, he talks about leaving his post. He tells him that he had it handled, and then we cut to a mouse with a duck costume on. Keep in mind that he was supposed to be laying eggs. Speaking of, in that scene, he said something that got another laugh out of me.
Bub, do you know how hard it is for a male duck to lay eggs?
And one final bit to say before I end off this section of the video, I love the pairing. Daffy and Porky are two tunes that I didn't think I wanted to see lead a movie, but hey, it was great. They even kind of mentioned that it's a weird pairing in the prison scene. I don't know, someone tell me if I'm reaching with this one here. Also, I love the fact that Bugs wasn't in the movie. They had a great idea and they ran with it, which is something that doesn't happen a lot nowadays. Brand recognition is all that matters to the bigwigs at the top, so not having the main tune probably was a pretty big turnoff for them. This might sound dumb, but I think that's probably why the movie was marketed so poorly. For some reason, I think David thinks that the Looney Tunes is a dead brand, so not having the most popular one was like a death sentence to him. I'm fully guessing here, but I bet the only reason we saw this movie, and it wasn't a tax write-off, was because someone fought really hard for it to be released. And it was released, only for a week. Which sucks, because this is way better than a lot of movies released this year with longer release windows. So go show this love by watching it. I think I stayed spoiler-free enough for you to enjoy it. 7.5 out of 10. Oh, I'm going to start reviewing and ranking all of the movies and shows that I make videos on, so I stay consistent. Here's an updated list. I changed some of the numbers since making the video, so check it out if you have watched my other content.
Fireball!
This one's hard for me to review. Not because I am having a hard time putting my critiques and enjoyable moments into words, but because no one has seen this movie. That was also true for the tunes, but people actually liked that one. For Rohirrim, you either didn't see it and heard bad things, or you saw it and didn't like it. And I just kind of disagree with that. Now, before you get the pitchforks, I totally get it. I understand that they only made it to keep the film rights of The Lord of the Rings. I also get that this story wasn't fully written by Tolkien, leading to one saying that there was a forced kind of girl boss feel. The last complaint I commonly see is that the animation is bad, or at least pretty jarring when compared to the rest of the Lord of the Rings series. So let's just address these in order. Amazon sucks. Yes, totally. I have voiced my opinions on Invincible many times on this channel, whether that's in videos or in the podcast. The main problem with that show comes down to Amazon and how they do business. They were going to make a Lord of the Rings movie to keep the rights. There wasn't a universe where Amazon was going to lose the rights of Lord of the Rings. The director of How to Train Your Dragon, both versions, agreed to make the live action because he wanted to do it right. And yeah, that movie is literally the exact same movie to a T, but I'd rather have that than an objectively worse version like Lilo and Stitch. I bring this up because, even though the project is forcefully made, it doesn't take away from the work and the heart that was put into it. I bought 2 books, The Visual Companion and The Art of. Obviously, I did it because I enjoyed the movie and the style, but I also wanted to prove to myself that there was care and heart in this movie, and it wasn't just made to keep the rights. And reading through specifically The Art of The War of the Rohirrim, holy crap, that's a mouthful, you can really feel how much work was put into this movie. I loved looking for the storyboards and sketches of the wide shots. I'm a big fan of animation, so seeing how people start these crazy animations is always so fun to me. They even had a board of Freka getting whacked on page 69 too. And I'm not the best at drawing landscapes, so seeing the process these artists took was awesome. One more thing about the books before I move into the next common complaint. I like the sketch art style they did of all the characters. This style is in The Art of, but it's mainly focused on in The Visual Companion. I think it would have been fun to see a movie in this style. Not to say I didn't like the animation, but more on that later. The next complaint was the girl boss complaint. And I get it, like I actually do. Half of the movie was taken from Tolkien's unfinished story, Helm. This being the Uprising, the Siege, and the New Throne. But Hera, to my knowledge, as I've never finished the unfinished book, was barely in the original story. So automatically, I can totally see where someone would be upset about her being the main character. Especially since Helm is so fucking cool and easily the best part of the movie, and actually the reason I've rewatched it a few times in under a year since it came out. Oh my god, the Wraith scene gives me chills.
Whispers spread that Helm Hammerhand was human no more. He bore no weapon, and no weapon could smite him. A terror, born of madness and grief. A wraith.
Fuck it, I'll remove 1.5 points from the total just because Helm was not the main character. That's a genuine problem. I'm not a fan of that. Helm is so cool. Make him the guy. However, this is not because of writing reasons. I actually thought that Hera was a pretty well-written main character. The part where I start to feel the girl boss energy was mainly in the narration. I fully believe that if the narration was not in the movie, apart from the Wraith scene, I wouldn't have girl boss complaints at all. The rest is just reaching, I think. Obviously, she'd have the marriage plotline. It's a story about the next in line to the throne. It also connects her closer to the main villain. However, I don't like their flashback. The way she scars him is so fucking dumb. But seriously, if you've seen the movie and thought there was too much girl boss energy, rewatch it, but mute every single time that the narration comes on. Most of the groan-worthy stuff is just from the narrator lady just trying to hype up Hera. No one has fucking seen this movie. I'm literally talking to a brick wall defending my bad opinion. This is so stupid. Whatever, let's hit the final complaint and then wrap it up so we can get to the movie that people want to hear me review. I like the animation, Okay, I'll be a little bit more intelligent than that. There are points where it is objectively bad. The worst moment is the scene where Freka is talking at the beginning. It's over-animated in a bad way, and it just kind of looks gross. However, for the most part, the animation's pretty good. It could get flat during dialogue sometimes, but the movie really knew how to pop off when it needed to. All the action scenes were really well done, especially the initial attack on Roheim and the final fight. The elephant scene and Helm's final stand were also great, but I wouldn't consider them standout animated moments in the movie. Helm's final fight is just awesome, though. I love Helm so much. He's so cool. If you haven't seen this movie, just watch it for Helm. He's so cool. He's one of the coolest characters in all of fantasy fantasy fiction. Cool guy. Also, the elephant scene has insane sound design. I really love the sound design in this movie as a whole, actually. Really knocked it out of the park. In addressing those complaints, I feel like I've basically talked about everything I want to talk about with the movie. Except for the point of the video. Oh yeah, the guy who wrote the art of said they weren't actually allowed to market the movie because of the 2024 actors strike. Well, case closed. I guess that's what did it. Definitely wasn't the fact that animation is still considered a kid's thing in Western culture. And Lord of the Rings is more of a Western thing. So maybe they just didn't know how to market to Western audiences, so they just tried to reel in people using brand awareness and nostalgia. But hey, what can you do? I bought 2 books and the steel cover edition of the DVD, so I was reeled in. Kidding, I actually really liked the movie. A couple of flaws, but overall a great time. Especially as a fan of Lord of the Rings and Japanese animation. 7.5 out of 10. Please go see it if you're a fan of either. I also think this movie allows for the most interesting discussion, so please comment your opinions. Let's talk. Guys, controversial take. This movie slaps. It's going to be hard to say something about this movie that hasn't been said already. I'm going to hit some small points that I didn't like only because you can find 7 billion videos talking about all the great parts of this movie. You know, the breathtaking 3D animation, the adult and well-written script, the natural and believable separation of Orion and Dee. Many others talk about those. I forgot to mention the fantastic voice acting, especially listening to how Chris changes his voice as the movie goes on to sounding more deeper and powerful, and how Brian really makes you feel when he finds out Sentinel is evil. Okay, no more good things. From here on out, only and the scene.
I feel like I have enough power in me to drill down and touch Primus myself.
You don't have the touch or the power.
You got the touch. You got the power.
This movie is really great. Let's tear it apart. Nitpicks ahoy. I do not like their faces. They're ugly. I don't like their lips. I know Michael Bay did some bad in his time, but I like the mechanical faces. I like the eyes more in this. Screen eyes are just better. I can't explain why. It's just a vibe. Next, what the hell is Energon? I think we're all thinking the same thing here, and we're all just scared to say it. Is it piss and shit of Primus? It seems infinite, but is it infinite looking because he was backed up for so long? It didn't seem infinite earlier on in the movie because the mines were running out. That's the entire plot of the movie. So I repeat, is Energon Primus's piss and shit? I mean, the planet is a big man. Big man gotta piss and or shit. If so, then it must have been so relieving to find Orion. Picking him to hold the matrix of leadership might have felt like releasing a groundhog shit right as you barely make it to the toilet. Okay, I'm gonna take this somewhat seriously now. To finish the review, I'm going to hit 5 things I didn't like with this movie. Going to split it up a bit though. 3 complaints I think that are actual complaints against the movie, and then 2 complaints that I'm holding against the movie even though it's not necessarily this movie's fault. We're going to hit the latter 2 first. I am not a Transformers expert, but I've seen the Bay movies, some cartoons, the OG show, and the OG movie. So I'm decently versed in Transformers knowledge. That being said, this could have been my first movie I've ever seen, and I still would have known Sentinel Prime was evil within his first second of being on screen. G has only seen the first 2 Bay movies and Rise of the Beasts, so she definitely had no idea who Sentinel Prime even was, and she instantly knew he was evil. Now listen, I get this is dumb to point out. It's a kid's movie, so I get that maybe it would scar kids by having too good of a twist like that, but they murdered Optimus in the first Transformers movie. That literally scarred kids. Imagine how much better this movie would have been if the twist was better written. But I get it, whatever, kids movie. The other small complaint that I have is that the Quintessons don't matter at all. I know that the writer probably had plans for them in his trilogy, but that doesn't mean that I enjoyed their inclusion in this movie, especially since that we're never going to get a sequel, sadly. The Quintessons were the only part of the movie that felt just a little weird to me. Like, Sentinel needed to be giving the Energon to someone. Yes, totally, I'm on board, I agree with it. But once that plot is introduced, they just don't resolve it. Sentinel's done, and now there are 2 factions of bots. Okay, cool, sweet. Now, what are y'all gonna do about the aliens that are coming to steal your life energy source? Right, sequel. Oh, wait. No. All right, let's dive into the real meat and potatoes. I'll go inclining in how intense I feel towards the issue. First up, I love the animation. The action scenes were insane. I haven't seen detail like this in a Western animation project, I honestly think, ever. However, I think towards like the middle beginning-ish, the camera gets a little boring. I say middle first because I think it happens more and worse in the middle. Occasionally, the camera just stays in a wide shot or in just a very boring camera angle. This is mainly for dialogue scenes, but it sometimes lasts for minutes and we only see 2 to 3 angles, sometimes less. To someone else, this might be considered in the other category, but I really love good cinematography. And this movie has fantastic cinematography when it's actually good, so it just makes the bad shots look worse. Next up, I think Scar Joe's character was not the best. I don't necessarily think she was poorly written, there just wasn't anything there of her. She's mad all the time, she's smart, and she used to be the leader. That basically sums her up, which sucks because the character writing of the main 2 characters is why this movie is so amazing. Maybe they just put all of their effort into those 2 and gave up with everyone else, because my last complaint is
Badassatron, which is actually pronounced
Badassatron.
Badassatron. It's a nickname some of the guys gave me. I don't know. I didn't give it to myself or anything. Actually, it's pronounced
Badassatron.
Battle Mask! It appeared with this guy tried to... Knife hands? I have knife hands! This is AA-tron?
I fucking hate this bee. The worst character in this movie, and I personally believe this character is the reason this movie did not make money. Keegan-Michael Key is a funny guy. I actually really like some of his skits. People like him a lot, and he is very popular. Makes sense if you're making a movie for kids to hire Key for the comic relief role. But holy shit, his lines sucked, and he never shut the fuck up. I never laughed a single time at any of the scenes he was in any of my viewings of this movie. He was so cringe, and it was exactly the thing the bigwigs at the top of Paramount thought would be good to market towards kids. Honestly, it's probably true. Kids probably ate B up and thought it was funny as hell. But you know who probably didn't think B was funny? The parents. You know, the people you actually should be marketing towards. Maybe instead of showing Badassatron and knife hands, you should show, oh my god, I'm stuttering. I'm actually getting upset about this. This is funny. You should show some of the sick-ass fights or character moments. This movie was last hope, and they somehow found a way to mess it up. These movies are doomed to either suck and make money or rock and never make a dime. The Transformers Paradox. 8.5 out of 10. Go watch this movie if you haven't. What are you doing? There isn't some grand message I want to leave the audience on with this one. I just really like animation, and the West doesn't yet. It sucks to say, but we weren't ready for these movies because we couldn't appreciate them while they were here. And now we probably will never see another movie quite like any of these three. That's a little hyperbolic. It at least won't happen for a while. I mainly just thought it was weird that these three movies all were poorly marketed, were animated, and were released in a 12-month span. If you want a takeaway, just watch them. All of them deserve love. Even if you don't like it, it's always good to try something new. Maybe there's something in the bad that you like a lot that you didn't realize you liked, and now you have something new that you can look for in media. But regardless of your opinions on these movies, the point of media is to discuss it. So let's talk. One of them, all of them, I want to hear every opinion y'all have on these three movies. Also, let me know what videos you want me to make in the future and what movies you want me to review. And please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. Watching this long and subscribing are the two best ways to support the channel, so please do that if you want to help. But other than that, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.